I'm blind, and these are things that you should never say to a blind person. Okay. Okay, did everybody hear the bone drop? I swear, it is on cue. Oh my gosh, we can't even start a story time without Maple making an appearance. Hello, Mr. Maple. Okay, Maple. Oh, buddy, I know. He gets so excited when he hears me talking. Okay, so I have two voices. I have my everyday voice, and then I have my on-camera voice. You know, it's a little more elevated. I think I enunciate just a little bit more. He can tell, he knows. He's like, okay, where's the camera? Get me on camera. All right, so I got my coffee here. We're sitting down for another chat because I asked you guys, is this something you enjoyed? I was really shocked. There were thousands of comments, and I asked you guys to leave the balloon emoji, the balloon emoji at the end of my last storytime video if you made it to the end. And oh my god, there were so many balloons, so many red balloons. You guys, you listened to my whole story. You listened to me just yammer on and on and on and on. I'm shocked. Actually really surprised. So here we are again. I got my coffee. I'm ready to tell you. Today we're going to talk about something a little different. I want to share with you some phrases, some common things that I've heard said to me as a blind person that I'm going to just give you an alternative. If you find yourself encountering a blind person, meeting a blind person for the first time, you will probably want to steer clear of these phrases, saying these common things, because yeah, it's just gonna be better for you, it's gonna be better for the blind person, it's gonna be better for your overall communication. It's just I don't know that we're not taught this in school. So everything I'm telling you today are pretty common things. One sec, I need my coffee, okay? As if I'm not already wired enough. Well, that's hot. That's good. Okay. These things are all really well-intentioned in my opinion, but anyway, we're gonna get there. Okay. Let me have my notes here. First of all, actually before we dive in, I should tell you, my name is Paul Castle. I am blind, but that doesn't mean I cannot see anything. And that's one of the most important things that I like to educate people about on social media is that blindness is a spectrum. Yes, there is a threshold. Not anybody can call themselves blind. If you need glasses and you wear corrective lenses and you can see with your corrective lenses, that doesn't qualify you as being blind without your glasses, because blindness is actually has a clear definition. So it means that in your better seeing eye, let's say you just had one eye. In the better seeing eye, you have to have either 20/200 vision with corrective vision. So that means if you wore glasses and you could only be corrected to 20/200, that is legal blindness, you are blind. And then anything worse than that obviously is blind until you get all the way down to total blindness. But if you have vision that can be corrected beyond 20/200, that doesn't qualify as blind. I actually wear contact lenses and glasses, and which actually corrects my vision up to about 20/60. However, I fall into the second category, which is that if you have a field of vision that is narrower than 20 degrees, so a normal field of vision is about 180 degrees. So if yours is narrower than 20 degrees, then you are also blind. And so mine is somewhere around 10 to 15 degrees. I don't know, so it's under 20, that much I'm certain, but it depends on which room I'm in. I can have as little as 1%, or sorry, one degree of vision or next to nothing. And then on a really good day, maybe 12, 15 degrees, which is actually less than 10% vision. So anyway, there's some math for you. So that kind of brings me to the first thing I want to say that you shouldn't say to somebody, is that if you meet somebody who is blind like myself and they're looking right at you, they're making eye contact, because I'm pretty good at that, because of my little pinpoint of vision, I am able to sometimes lock in on somebody's eyeball, usually only one eyeball. I can only look at one eyeball at a time, and the lighting has to be really good. And I'll often hear somebody say, "You don't look blind. You don't look blind." So I would advise, although again, this is coming from an honest place, I'm sure, not to say that to a blind person, because it is really challenging to be blind. And if you have the sort of blindness that I have, where you're sort of navigating the world and doing the best you can with that teeny tiny bit of functional vision, for someone to say you don't look blind, it almost sounds like they are saying, well, are you blind? You're not blind. You're not fitting my expectation of blindness. And that can be hurtful and harmful. And what it does overall is sort of mitigate the effort of the blind community to educate people about the spectrum of blindness. So I want to tell you right now that most blind people do not in fact look blind. It would probably really shock you to know how many blind people are walking out there in the world and functioning and doing all sorts of things that you never thought a blind person could do. So I would like to give you an alternative. If you meet somebody who you did not suspect was blind and they tell you that they are blind, I would encourage you, if you feel comfortable, to say, how much can you see? Or would you mind describing, what you can see? And the reason I like this is because it gives the blind person the opportunity to educate and share their own personal experience with you. And furthermore, and here's the better part, knowing what that person can and cannot see could really help you understand how to help that person better. So for example, there are forms of blindness where the central vision is completely gone and they only have peripheral vision. So they may be talking to you and have to look slightly off to the side and so that they can properly see you. And I have the inverse where I have no peripheral vision, but I have a pinpoint of vision at the center and have nothing down here. So you wouldn't want to just hand something out to me because I have no peripheral vision. You'd want to let me know you were handing something to me, or maybe even touch it to my hand or offer it to me verbally. And so if you understood that I didn't have peripheral vision, then you would be better equipped to sort of navigate a situation with me in that moment. So that's just a good tip. It's not offensive to ask somebody what they can see. I think it's actually really wonderful when somebody wants to understand, as long as you do it in a really kind and supportive way. Number 2, sip number 2 of my coffee for this one. It's cooled down a little bit more now. I have this like oat milk creamer in it. It's really tasty. It's like salted caramel or something. Number 2. Over there. Look over there. Can you hand me that over there? Where is blank? It's over there. Okay, so usually over there is coupled with somebody pointing in the direction of a place. And a fully sighted person can easily look at the finger pointing, follow it, and then literally find the object. Now, if a blind person asks where something is, whether or not they have no vision or some functional vision, it's really important that you use descriptive words. So, for example, where's the TV remote? It's under the TV by the bookcase sitting right next to the potted plant. Now that gives me some context. I would walk over to where I know the television is, feel for the bookcase and the potted plant, and then I could actually feel for and find the remote. So if you give very specific directions rather than the simple over there, that's gonna be really, really helpful to the blind person, okay? Now I know that's gonna be a little tricky. I think most of us aren't used to having to be so descriptive, and when you're in the presence of a person who is visually impaired or blind, it's really important that we use detail and description a lot. And it's like, you know what, you might fumble over it, you might not be perfect, but it's gonna be really helpful. And I do encourage you to do that rather than just go say, grab the remote control and say, oh, I got it, here it is. And the reason is it's gonna give that person, the blind person, their own independence. It's gonna give them the opportunity to do it in their own way, being tactile. And I think it's really important not to rob people with disabilities of the opportunity to do things on their own. Now, you could ask them, do you want me to get it for you? Or they may ask you outright, would you mind finding it because that sounded complicated? And that would be fine too. And you guys can all have a laugh about it because I promise you, every blind person I've met has a pretty good sense of humor, and we love to laugh, and it's totally fine. Like, it doesn't have to be awkward or weird. Everybody's trying to do their best in this situation. So just give it your best shot. And if all else fails, you know, you can just grab the thing for them, and that's totally fine too. That's not wrong to do. So that's a good one. So that's my solution. All right, are you ready for number 3? Third sip. Wait, this coffee's gonna be cold by the end of this. Why did I do this? Why did I think I was gonna be able to sit here and chat with you and sip on my coffee? Because like that would actually require you to be talking. Because then I would sit back. I kind of like this idea. If somebody else has a coffee, actually let's play a little game. Anybody else got a coffee? Okay, if you have your coffee, now it's your turn to talk. I'm just gonna like sit and listen to you for a second, okay? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Every time. Yeah. Oh You're delightful. Okay, I don't know how that's gonna go, but that was our little role play for the day. It was like I'm hanging out with you, having a little coffee with you. All right, so what were we? Was that the third thing? Oh, I'm gonna tell you the third thing now. This one's kind of a tough one. This one's tough. This happens to me a lot. I will tell somebody that I'm blind, and they will want to compare it to their own situation. Whew, this is a big one to unpack. It is human nature to want to relate to somebody else's experience by comparing it to your own experience. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I know it comes from a really good place. However, when you're talking to somebody with an untreatable chronic illness and you are comparing it to a situation in your life that is easily treatable, that may come across as a little, what's the word I want to use? It's just a little bit insensitive to the totality of the experience the person might be going through. I know from experience when people do tell me these things that it's coming from a place of them wanting to relate to me and wanting to understand. And they will often say, I know it's nothing like you, but, and then they proceed to tell me a little bit of an anecdote. I'll give you an example. I met somebody at a car dealership of all places. My husband Matthew was test driving a car, and the guy who was doing the test drive with us, he asked about my cane, and I said, oh, I'm blind, and he said, oh, you know, I know how you feel. Today I left my prescription glasses at home, so I have to wear my prescription sunglasses all day and into the evening. And you know, it was just really well intentioned, because he was saying like he's forced to wear these dark glasses even when as it gets dark outside. So he understood how I felt as somebody who's lost almost all their vision and has no night vision. And I laughed. I just laughed, and I was, you know, I don't want to be mean in a situation like that. I don't want to be rude. I just laugh and, oh yeah, oh that sucks, you know, oh that's gotta be hard. I'll say something like that. And we'll just quickly move on. But I would advise you, if you're in that situation, that it's not probably gonna go over super well in the mind of the person receiving that news. So I would just advise maybe not sharing those, or at least relating those experiences necessarily. Just because I can't imagine that it's always gonna feel good for the person who is really like, sort of honestly, like stuck with a chronic illness or disability. You know, it's not really quite the same thing. Okay, so what is the alternative to sharing a quote relatable story? This is really tough, because in some ways I would advise people to offer their sympathy, right? That's kind of normal, isn't it? If you find out that your best friend's parent just passed away, or a good friend of yours was just diagnosed with cancer, what is the first thing you're gonna do? You're gonna say, I'm so sorry. I'm a Canadian, so I would say, I'm so sorry. I'm becoming so American, I'm saying sorry. And I think in those situations where somebody's lost somebody, or they were just diagnosed with a treatable illness, people are grieving, sympathy and saying sorry, that is so normal. But I don't think when you're dealing with somebody who has a disability, a chronic illness that has no treatment, that they have learned to live with, okay? They may have had this for many years, they've adapted, they're living their best lives, and this is honestly the thing I hear the most. People will say, immediately as soon as I meet them and I tell them that I'm blind, I'm so sorry. And I love that sentiment from them, because it is really kind and it's coming from a genuine place, but I don't like to hear it. I really don't like to hear it. I don't want to be pitied. I do not want sympathy anymore. I really don't. Now, I would hate the opposite. You know what I mean? I would hate for somebody to just say, well, sucks to be you, you know? So I prefer, if given the option, that's a really nice sentiment. And I always say, oh, thank you. Or, you know, I'll say, you know, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But it puts the person in, the disabled person in a position in which they have to kind of now caretake for the other person's sympathy almost. This is a tough one. I'm unpacking this slowly, because I want to use careful language around this. Because I would prefer it if people didn't say that anymore. I would really prefer it if they didn't apologize or say sorry that I'm going through this. I would rather them say, this is really easy. Why not just say, thank you for telling me that. Thank you. I really appreciate you letting me know. Is there anything I can do to help? Is there any way I can be supportive? How can I be supportive? How can I help? And then you may even want to ask, how much can you see? You may want to, if you feel comfortable in the situation, you're getting a good vibe from the person, you might want to ask them about the disease they have or how the vision loss occurred. Now, that's not always safe to do because that could be a traumatic situation for somebody. That could be bringing up a traumatic accident. But for example, I just had this encounter the other day in an Uber where the Uber driver overheard another person talking to me and using the word RP, which is shorthand for my eye disease, retinitis pigmentosa. And then I got into the Uber and the Uber driver asked, may I ask, what is RP? And he saw that I had my guide dog with me and everything, and I loved that. He just said, what is RP? And then I got to tell him all about retinitis pigmentosa. And of course, when I told him that it was a blindness without a cure, he immediately said, oh, I'm so sorry. Again, fine. I did not want a sympathy, but he did say that, and I know that people aren't gonna ever stop saying that. That's gonna happen a lot. But if you watching this could take anything away from this, I would say skip that part and just go to, thank you for telling me, thank you for letting me know, and is there anything I can do to help? It's just like supportive, and it also puts the blind person, the person with a disability, in a position where they don't feel disempowered or they don't feel less than simply because they're living with this disability. Because contrary to what a lot of people might assume, people with disabilities are not living in misery all the time. And yes, there are struggles. Yes, it is hard. And everybody has struggles. Everybody goes through difficult things. But I think most of us don't want to be living under a dark cloud all the time. And we don't want to be living in a life of receiving sympathy all the time. So I just love the thank you and how what can I do to help? Because you know what? I'm going to ask you the same thing. When you tell me things about your life and your personal situations, and you may not have a disability, but I bet you need help sometimes. And I bet I could be there to help you. Yeah. So that's it, everybody. That is it. I do have one little bonus story for you because I thought it would be fun to end on a little bit of a light note. I wanted to share with you two of the funniest things people have said to me when I was out and about with my apparatus, my different tools, my different mobility tools, starting here with my cane. I thought I was grocery shopping once with my cane. Just me and my cane and a bag of groceries. And this woman was really close to me. I could sense her very near, and I could almost feel her eyes on me for a while. And finally she said to me, excuse me, young man, why are you shopping with a selfie stick? A selfie stick! She thought, look at this was my selfie stick. Oh my goodness, it made me laugh so hard. I told her, oh no, this isn't a selfie stick, this is a white cane and I'm blind. She felt so bad, bless her heart. She immediately started helping me with my groceries. She wanted to grab my bag. She wanted to just take over my whole shopping experience. I could tell she felt really bad. By the way, that's a really, really bad thing to do. Don't just jump in and start like taking over a blind person who was previously very capably doing the thing on their own. Again, all of these things come from a really well-intentioned place, but not advisable. I thought the whole exchange was really funny. I thought her reaction was kind of funny just because she was trying to overcompensate for her blunder. But I want to thank that woman because it's still one of my favorite stories. The second thing, and this is crazy because no one's ever said this before or since, but I was out with Mr. Maple and here's his guide dog harness. And as you can probably tell, if you can see here, this is right on the handle, it says guide dogs for the blind. And it's like this big reflective handle and it says in big letters right there. And then you have this pretty heavy duty like harness that buckles and wraps around Maple, and you got this big handle and everything. And I was walking around Seattle and this guy stopped me and he said, whoa, that is the coolest leash I've ever seen. He thought it was just a cool leash. And I was like, oh, actually it's a harness, it's a guide dog. Maple remembers. He remembers. Yes, you do, buddy. And I said, it's a guide dog harness, and he's a guide dog, and I'm blind. And he was like, oh man, oh sorry, I didn't know. And I thought that was actually an okay time to apologize. He was just like, oops, it was an oops. And it was funny. Maple didn't even stop, so I just kept going because Maple was continuing to go. And I said, no problem, it's okay. And I logged that one away because again, I was like, that's really funny. I wonder how many people are watching me walk walk down the street and think that I just have a really cool dog leash, like a really unusual one. Because like there are a lot of leashes out there that are also like, you know, other dogs wear harnesses a lot. So, I mean, I guess probably people are thinking that because like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't look blind. So I guess people might assume that this is just a really cool dog leash. All right, so that's everything. I have no idea how long we've been doing. Where did I put my coffee? Here it is. Did I almost drink it all? I did. All right, I'm gonna have a last sip because this has been our little coffee time, our little coffee chat. So I would like to know, did you enjoy this new format? Again, I know we like the story times with Paul, but this was a little different. We were kind of taking on a different subject matter. You know, phrases that you shouldn't say to blind people. Did you learn something new? I hope you did. Let me know in the comments if you learned something new. And of course, we have got to put a secret emoji, right? If you made it all the way to the end. Let's see, it was our coffee chat day, so I'm kind of like leaning toward the little cup of coffee. Could we do that one? The little saucer and the little cup, yeah. That one. So if you made it to the end, drop me that coffee emoji and we're definitely gonna do this again, I know that. And I'm thinking up some good stories. I have so many stories. I have so many stories, a lot of really funny stories. That is maybe one of the most unintentionally fun things about having a disability. And I don't know, this might be controversial to say, but this is my own personal experience. I get into so many funny situations that would not happen otherwise. And yes, they're embarrassing and awkward in the moment, but as a storyteller, like it's gold. It's a gold mine. I am definitely gonna write a book one day and just fill it with all the stories. I'm definitely gonna have to do that someday. All right, this has been fun. I genuinely, like, is it weird that I had a lot of fun doing this and yet I'm sitting alone in my kitchen right now? Well, Mr. Maple's here, but you know what I mean. I mean, I kind of feel like you were here with me the whole time. Like, I really kind of felt like you were here. So this has been fun. Let's do this again, okay? We'll talk soon. All right, I'll see you. No, you'll see me. I'll see just a little bit of you, just the tiniest little pinpoint, right? Well, I guess technically I'm not seeing anything. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Am I even looking at the lens right now? I'm hopeless. Where's the, how do I even turn this thing off? Okay, I'm gonna find it. I know I am. It's right around here somewhere. Okay, bye guys. Bye.